Wait before you scroll past. You need to hear this. Everything you thought you knew about it's about to get completely flipped. Old videos, cryptic messages, even his prison stories, they all point to something nobody expected. The Instagram posts, the rumors, the tattoos, it's like a puzzle, and every piece is pointing to a secret life he's been hiding all along. Stick around, because once you see the connections, you won't be able to unsee them. You think I'm joking? Let me tell you, I've been around some wild stuff before. Like, seriously, one time I was with a little person. Yeah, and no, it wasn't what you're thinking. And speaking of wild moments, this all reminded me of That dude's history is complicated. A while back, I posted some pics on Instagram, and immediately people started noticing things. The girl in the photos, total baddie. She knows it, and she rolls with her baddie friends, all confident, all unapologetic. There's an energy about her that just draws attention, the kind of presence that makes people stop scrolling and take notice. And somehow, all this drama started right after I had sworn I wasn't even going to get involved. I had promised myself I'd stay out of it, let the chaos unfold from a distance, but, as usual, things have a way of finding you whether you like it or not. Now, the strangest part of all this, Blueface's behavior. His preferences seemed to shift almost overnight. Where he used to act a certain way, now it's all focused on one specific thing, let's just say, and it wasn't just a casual shift. It was noticeable, like something had fundamentally changed about his taste or desires. Honestly, I've always had a feeling about Blueface, a sense that his attitudes toward women were complicated. There was always a hint that his interactions were influenced by something deeper. Maybe even some resentment or confusion that didn't always show on the surface. Looking back, the signs were subtle at first. Little comments, stray jokes, the way he carried himself around certain women, the attention or lack thereof he gave. But as time went on, the pattern became clearer. You start piecing it together. Old social media posts, cryptic messages, things fans and insiders had been whispering about for years. And then, of course, there's the prison angle. Once he was locked up, the rumors really began to explode. People started saying that Blueface wasn't just surviving behind bars. He was allegedly involved in relationships with men while in prison, and not the kind that people typically assume for celebrities. No, sources claimed he was actively participating, taking a role that surprised a lot of fans. These weren't just idle internet rumors, either. Multiple people came forward, claiming Blueface had a jail boyfriend and even promised the guy a ring. Suddenly, all the weird poses, feminine body language, and some of those unusual photos started making sense. They weren't just random or out-of-character moments, they looked like evidence of someone being influenced, controlled, or shaped by circumstances most people would never imagine. Then came the Cole Carrion situation, the drag queen who openly stated that Blueface slid into his DMs after posting some photos. That was like the final straw for a lot of people. The internet exploded, dissecting every clip, every message, trying to connect the dots. Even outside of prison, Blueface's behavior raised eyebrows. A few days after his release, he went on a live stream with Con. And the interaction, strange, almost uncomfortable. This wasn't the behavior of a man just getting out and seeking normal intimacy. The first topic he brought up wasn't casual conversation or reconnecting, it was about backdoor activity, fresh out of prison. And his first words were about lubricants and specific sexual acts. People started questioning if this was normal behavior for him, or if it had been part of his pattern long before he went to prison. Then there were the tattoos. When Blueface walked out of prison, fans immediately noticed his face was covered in symbols. Chase, Walgreens, MLBYSL all over his cheeks and forehead in a seemingly random grid. Rumors circulated that these tattoos weren't voluntary, that they might have been forced on him. A kind of branding to mark him as property or someone claimed inside the prison system. If you start connecting that with his prison relationships, his changing preferences, and the constant questioning of sexuality, it all starts to form a pattern that's difficult to ignore. Even going further back, there were subtle signs that something was always off. Con had hinted at it years ago in her social media posts, revealing experiences and interactions that didn't add up with Blueface's public image. From live streams to old interviews, there were moments where he seemed to be testing boundaries, probing questions, or acting in ways that hinted at a private life very different from the persona he projected. And when you consider the Instagram posts with the baddie and her crew, it's almost like the public and private versions of him were always on separate tracks, only occasionally colliding in ways that revealed small pieces of the bigger picture. The thing about all this is that it's not just scandal or gossip, it's a story that shows patterns over time. When people first saw the Instagram posts, they didn't necessarily see the connections. They saw a girl, a confident presence, a few flashy pictures. But when you overlay those moments with what insiders and fans have noticed for years, the prison rumors, the DM exchanges, the tattoos, the interviews, it all starts to feel like more than coincidence. It becomes a window into a life shaped by pressures, control, and hidden realities that most of us would never imagine. And that's why the drama feels so compelling. It's not just about a few social media posts or random behavior, it's about connecting dots across years. Across different parts of Blueface's life. From his relationships, public image, and social media activity to the whispers that fans and insiders have carried for years, you begin to see a picture of someone whose private reality has been at odds with the persona we've been shown. And the Instagram posts, they were just another piece of that puzzle. A reminder that no matter how removed you think you are, sometimes life has a way of dragging you right back into the story. In the end, the Instagram photos were more than just pictures, they were a spark. A way for people to start asking questions, piecing together a narrative that's been there all along. And whether you're a fan, a critic, or just someone scrolling through social media, the story of Blueface's shifting behavior, prison experiences, and complex personal life is a reminder that what we see online is often just the surface of a much deeper, more complicated reality. When you watch his old clips, the signs were always there, hiding in plain sight. People whispered about them for years, but no one wanted to admit the truth out loud. At first, it seemed like harmless speculation, just the kind of rumors that swirl around celebrities. But looking back, the pieces start to fit together, revealing a pattern that's hard to ignore. It all started before prison. There were little things in interviews, live streams, and social media posts that hinted something deeper was going on. A joke here, a strange comment there. The way he interacted with certain people, it didn't make sense if you only looked at it on the surface. But combine it with what insiders were quietly saying, and a different picture begins to emerge. Then came the prison rumors, and everything escalated. While Blueface was serving his time, people started hearing stories that went far beyond the usual tales of celebrity life behind bars. Friends and associates who knew him well began confirming what others were too afraid to say. According to them, Blueface wasn't just passing time or dealing with normal prison life, he was being manipulated and controlled in ways that were shocking. People claimed he was passed around, subjected to dynamics most of us could barely imagine, and put in situations that left him vulnerable. At first, it's hard to wrap your head around the idea of someone like Blueface, a figure so public and so confident in his music and persona. Being in such a position seems almost impossible, but the more you dig, the more consistent the stories become. Clips that once seemed random or playful now take on a different meaning. Comments, expressions, and even body language in old videos suddenly feel like hints, clues about a reality he never showed to the public. It wasn't just rumors for the sake of gossip. People who were there, who interacted with him during that time, began speaking up, quietly at first, about the pressures he faced. They claimed Blueface was forced into situations where he had no real control, manipulated in ways that left lasting marks not just physically, but psychologically. These weren't the kind of stories anyone wanted to hear, especially because they challenged the confident, larger-than-life image he cultivated outside of prison. Looking back now, it all starts to make sense. What people dismissed before as jokes, braggadocio, or exaggeration wasn't random, it was part of a larger, hidden reality. And the more you connect the dots, the more you realize that his public persona and his private experiences were worlds apart. Blueface's old clips, his jokes, his interviews, they weren't just entertainment. They were glimpses, subtle hints of a story that the world wasn't ready to see. By piecing together these moments, you begin to understand the complexity of what happened. Remember the claims Khan made years ago. At the time, they seemed shocking, maybe even overblown. People dismissed them or laughed them off because they didn't fit the image. Blueface had carefully built a confident, untouchable rapper, larger than life, always in control. But now, revisiting those statements, you can't help but see them in a new light. Suddenly, her words don't just feel like rumors, they feel like insights from someone who had been paying attention all along. Noticing the cracks behind the persona, it becomes clear that Blueface wasn't living the life we thought he was. The public image, the bravado, the tough talk, the social media posts was only part of the story. Behind the scenes, according to multiple accounts, there were pressures, manipulations, and experiences that shaped him in ways fans could never see. The whispers that circulated online for years, the little rumors about his behavior, relationships, and preferences, what once seemed insignificant or improbable now start to feel like pieces of a larger, undeniable reality. As more clips and stories resurface, the evidence grows stronger. Odd social media posts, strange interactions, and moments of behavior that previously seemed out of place suddenly fall into context. Each piece of footage acts like a puzzle piece, gradually revealing a hidden side of his life, a life where control, manipulation, and circumstance played a bigger role than anyone could have imagined. What was once just whispered speculation has now become something impossible to ignore. The things fans and insiders hinted at for years, his private struggles, the contradictions between his public persona and private reality, now feel more credible than ever. When you watch the old footage with this perspective, it's impossible not to notice how the story was there all along, quietly revealing itself, waiting for the moment when people would finally start connecting the dots. But let's be real. The rumors didn't start in jail. The first cracks in his straight gangster rapper image came from Con, long before any prison drama. She was online, exposing him for cheating, all while she was involved with Offset. Blueface tried to play it off, talking trash like getting tattooed by a girl isn't a flex. Con, however, didn't let it slide. She dropped lines most people ignored, like seeing certain searches in his history and calling him out. Nothing wrong with being bisexual, just be honest before someone falls in love. Weirdo. At first, people thought she was just bitter, but the more clips came out, the more the pattern was clear. This wasn't the first hint she gave that he might be bisexual. Then there was that live stream with Kai, where Blueface bragged about sleeping with a little person. Christian didn't even question it, she asked directly, was it a boy or a girl? And everyone froze. Why ask that unless you already had suspicions? Old clips started resurfacing, showing Blueface obsessively asking his 6-year-old son if he was DL. Clip after clip, the kid would walk away for snacks, while Blueface pressed him with bizarre questions about his sexuality. He even brought adult dancers to the house, trying to test the kid's reaction like it was some kind of experiment. The child didn't even care, but Blueface kept at it, relentlessly asking his zesty questions. It's messy, weird, and honestly, looking back, the signs were always there, you just had to connect the dots. You ever hear someone say, "You ain't gay, right?" That's exactly what Blueface kept saying to his friends. My man, my dog, my young. But here's the thing, that wasn't even the weirdest part. Back when he was doing auditions for the Bad Boys Club show, he kept grilling the guys like, why do you like men? It wasn't an audition, it was more like a personal investigation. Why are you gay? I'm not gay. That was the energy. Even before prison, the signs were there. Then once he got locked up, rumors started exploding. People weren't just saying he was surviving jail, fight sources claimed. Blueface was allegedly having relationships with men behind bars. And not like the rumors you usually hear about celebs in jail, people said he was the one bending others. Multiple sources even claimed he had a jail boyfriend and allegedly promised the guy a ring. Suddenly, all those strange poses, feminine body language, and odd photos people had noticed started making sense. Then came the Cole Carrion situation, the drag queen who straight up said Blueface slid into his DMs after Cole posted some hot pics. That's when the internet really went wild. Speaking of Blueface, this reminded me of when I posted some Instagram pics a few months back. The girl in them? Total baddie. She knows it, and her friends are just as fierce. And somehow, all this drama came right after I had decided not to get involved. Cole even posted receipts, a clip showing himself with a guy whose stomach tattoos perfectly matched Blueface's. When that blew up online, Blue's response, a weak, defensive tweet. I'm not suing nobody for defamation. If y'all believe it, that's on you. This is entertainment for me. Think about that for a second. If someone really accused you of that much, most people would be suing immediately, but not Blue. That alone told everyone he had something to hide. A few days after getting released, he went live, and the way he interacted with Con, freaky, not normal. I just got out of prison, I need love vibes. The first thing he brought up was backdoor activity like fresh out of prison, and the first words he's saying are about lubricants and specific sexual acts. You have to wonder, is this just normal for them? Or was this his behavior before prison too? And then there are the face tattoos. When Blue came out of prison, people noticed his entire face was covered in logos: Jace, Walgreens, MLBYSL all over his cheeks and forehead. Rumors swirled that these weren't voluntary. Some claimed inmates forced them on him, like a branding, marking him as their property. Every detail, every weird clip, it all starts to connect. When you look at it closely, the story isn't just rumors, it's a pattern. Some people linked all of this back to the so-called humiliation ritual theories, the same ones Cat Williams has been talking about for years. Cat says Hollywood doesn't just ruin careers, they break people. They humiliate you, strip away your identity, trap you in shameful situations, and then send you back into the world as if you're a puppet. People joke about him always mentioning people in dresses, but it's not as weird as it sounds. The point is about control and ritual. Look closely. How many people who played along ever failed in Hollywood? That's how these rituals work. Now, take that idea and put it in the prison context. According to rumors, Blueface allegedly became someone's prison wife, for to be blunt, their boy toy. He was used, controlled, and even tattooed after the fact. Some fans say those face tattoos were inmates mocking him, branding him like property. When you put all the pieces together, the old rumors, jail relationships, cold carrying DMs, constant questions about sexuality, it stops feeling random. It starts to look like a pattern. A truth slowly revealing itself over years. Finally, exposed the moment Blueface walked out of prison looking, well, like someone who had been through a brutal experiment. The internet noticed. One person said, "Blueface looks zesty with all those tattoos on his face." Another wrote, "I believe he's DL. He even mentioned it to a girl about putting it somewhere. I truly believe it." Someone else hit hard, saying he's gay, that's why he kept asking his son, "Are you gay?" So the question now is, was Blueface really living that prison wife life? Or did the internet just connect dots he never wanted anyone to see? And if all those old claims from Con suddenly make sense, what else has Blueface been hiding behind all that tough guy bravado? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, subscribe, and don't forget to check out our next video on the end screen.